So you are all co-creators already. Because the way God operates, you come down here, you take responsibility. It's not like we have kings and queens in our world here, where they do take a fair bit of responsibility, but when you're a king and a queen out there, the way we do it properly is when you manifest a galaxy, when you want to become a king or a queen of a galaxy, and that's just labels, king, queen, it's just to get the concept with you. Your energy stream of your being goes into manifesting that galaxy, and your energy stream of your being manifests all the planets, right? Is the foundation for all the planets, because other beings come into your galaxy and experience the way your galaxy vibrates, and they manifest themselves as a planet and a star, and it's just multi-layered like that. We all go inside each other and experience each other in the different ways we express one another. Okay? So we're more interconnected than you can possibly imagine. Everyone says, yeah, we're all one, it's all beautiful and everything. Wow, you know. You have people that you fight with, you can understand that you're sorting out karma because you two were two galaxies at war on another level way back when. And you're sorting out all that karma. It goes on and on and on. It's really expansive. So, we took this journey down here and God said, we're going to expand, but then one day we're going to start funneling everything into singularity again. And what pops out the other end are creator gods. So you're gods in your own right, but not in this universe. You're in the process of becoming God. We are gods in the making. Okay? Now you all have your Christ center. Okay? That is the consciousness of this universe. That is a seed that was planted inside of you when you first made contact here. Okay? That Christ center is a seed, and within the next 4 years that seed is about to sprout. All right? You want to call it Buddha, you want to call it Krishna, you want to call it Quetzalcoatl, you want to call it the rainbow serpent, you want to call it the green man, you want to call it Pan, you can call it Ra, you can call it anything you like. It's describing the same thing. Different culture, different time, different interpretation. Okay? Everyone's talking the same language, really. So once we went through the journey of expansion and went through all these horrendous wars and exhausted all possibilities of an outcome on the fourth dimension, a third dimensional paradigm was created. And as we're stepping down, we're getting into a slower waveform, right? Which means more density as well. So the higher vibration, the lower the vibration, the more density. Molecules vibrate slower, the more dense the matter becomes. God said, right, we're going to start bringing everything back together because this is inside God. And this free will zone, right, people think they got free will, really, because the whole thing was designed down from up here, don't forget that. This higher self aspect of you planned the whole life and the outcome, okay? So if you think you're roaming this planet with free will, then you've got to think about that, okay? Because once you get in touch with your higher self, you then know, realise and know for sure that we do not have free will down here. We just think that we do. That's an illusion of the lower ego, okay? And it needed to be that way. We needed to go through that illusion. It's separation, okay? And people don't like that because everything they do that's bad, they can then no longer blame anybody else but themselves. Okay? They can't blame anybody else. It's nobody's fault but mine. Everything I've done, everything I've been, in all this area here, it's all me. It's all of my own making, of my own doing. So, God then decided, I'm going to take this project on now, hands-on. And the feminine and the masculine aspects of the Creator decided to manifest themselves as galaxies. And they did that. And the feminine aspect of the Creator, the Divine Mother, manifested herself as our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. And it is termed as such because of the nurturing of the mother's milk. The male aspect of the universe manifested itself as the Andromedan galaxy. And in Greek, the word andros means husband. And the Andromedan galaxy is the one right next door to ours. So you've got the masculine and the feminine, the divine, sacred couple. Everybody from all these different galaxies, right, then came in to this one galaxy because the call went out. The call went out to all the beings who are ready to return home and make this journey to become a creator God. So all the spiritual hierarchies in all these galaxies worked out which beings were going to represent each galaxy and come into this galaxy. So each star system in this galaxy is a settlement or a condensing down and a representation of a galaxy. So you've gone from a galaxy, compressing it down into one star system. Okay? So we're on the road to compression and more density. From there, everybody came into the galaxy, and so now you've got all these differences of separation being compressed into one galaxy. And we had a lot of wars that took place in the galaxy in the beginning because there's a lot of jostling for elbow space and positions of power and what have you. And it was a pretty painful time. But then it got to the point where it had to be compressed down to the next level again. And the universal consciousness and its masculine and feminine then said, right, we are going to take control of this firsthand again, and we're going to manifest ourselves as a star system. And so the male aspect manifested itself as the Orion League. Okay? And in Egyptian mythology, that is Osiris, or the hunter. Okay? Which is really another aspect of this guy anyway. Remember, we're talking about the universal creator. Okay? That's what this represents too, that picture there. Okay? So, and the feminine manifested herself as Ceres, which is also known as Isis. They've got other names in other cultures. I'm just sharing the ones I'm familiar with, okay? Every culture has this knowledge hidden in it. Now, what took place in Orion was so profound, was the masculine energy compressing itself right in. So all the warring, all the controlling energies of that masculine energy was played out in what we call the Orion Wars. And that's what the Star Wars series is all about, that energy. It was one of the most painful and horrific times ever, because it really needed to be sorted out once and for all. Of course, it's still in the process of happening, as you're well aware, but a big chunk of it was transmuted in the Orion League through that era. And it was a very painful time, and I've spoken to people and heard people talk about their memories of the Orion Wars, the deprivation of freedom and the tortures and what took place in the technology that was used to hurt people in that era was, there are no words to describe how horrific that was. So, that is why we have in Egypt the 3 pyramids. Because they are a fractal of the Orion's belt, and Osiris came to this planet a bit over 12,500 years ago as Ra and built those pyramids to anchor that masculine energy into this plane. That's what those pyramids do. You'll hear all sorts of stories about those pyramids, but they anchor the male energies into the earth plane. All that war, all that control, all that horrendous energy, because what was happening was the masculine and feminine needed to go to the next level. and they manifested themselves as our sun, which is known as Horus, and as Earth, which is known as Hathor. Okay, in the Egyptian pantheon. Now you can pick up a book in today's world, you go to the library or whatever, pick up a book, they won't tell you that Hathor was the embodiment of Mother Earth. They won't tell you that, because that's secret, that's a secret, because, you know, we've got to suppress the feminine, got to suppress the truth. Okay, so again, I'm coming from a place like, everything I share with you here today, you do with as you will. Okay? If you don't want to accept anything I say, I'm at peace with that. But I'm not going to sit here and tiptoe through the tulips with you. I'm not going to sit here and express myself in such a fragile way that I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I truly don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but if I say something that nudges your belief system, then I'm sorry about that, because we're right at the business end of the cycle, and the truth needs to be shared. And I'll just lay my cards on the table. So, in the pantheon, Osiris and Isis come together and have a son called Horus, okay? And that is the sun. Jesus Christ, Son of God. Horus and Jesus are the one being, okay? The Divine Mother manifests herself as the earth because, and this is the Adam and Eve and the serpent business with God. You are taught that Eve was seduced by the serpent and fell into a low vibration. That is the biggest load of codswallop. They formulated a plan together. See, that other story gets told to once again undermine the feminine, to show her that she's weak, that she's easily conned, and it just takes away the real hero in all of this. Because this guy here, he's getting a lot of attention, right? But the real one, when he comes along, he's going to tell you who the real hero is. He's going to tell you that divine feminine is the real hero in all of this, because she manifested herself as a planet that was going to see the very last vestiges of this plan play itself out. She volunteered to manifest herself into a planetary body where everyone can incarnate on. She volunteered to be raped, to be pillaged, to be plundered, to be tortured, to be poisoned, to be beaten. And not for a short period of time, not just for a few thousand years. This has been going on for millions of years. So if any big fella wants to stand up in front of me and talk tough, I'll tell you who's the toughest of them all. That's the Divine Mother. That's the Divine Feminine. There is no other being in this universe that is as courageous, that is as strong, that is as nurturing, that is as unconditional loving as that woman, as the Divine Mother. She's my hero because I know the magnitude of her journey. And I assure you, over the next few years, as you awaken and you reconnect with your true heart, your Christ centre, that you will come to know this. And I'm not standing up here preaching. You all know this already. You've just forgotten. And you will automatically come to know this over the next few years. I assure you of that.